Our group's focus regarding style was on word choice. Word choice is a key element in the writing process. Technical editors can revise drafts to point out sections that seem awkward, vague, or wordy. Choosing the correct words to convey the same meaning to a broad audience can be difficult, and the clarity of the document often depends on the expertise of the audience. We will cover some of the elements of word choice: connotation, jargon, slang, wordiness, misused words, and cliches. Understanding a word's literal or denotative meaning and its suggestive or connotative meaning is important for writers. Depending on context, the connotation of a word can change the sentence considerably. Since language is symbolic and thus subjective, connotations can evoke feelings in readers. Words can carry positive, negative, or neutral connotations. For example, the word home carries a warmer connotation than house. These are some more examples of connotative words that carry connotative meaning: cheap versus inexpensive, plan versus scheme, favorable versus unfavorable, skinny versus slender, chatty versus conversational. Even with the apparent objectivity of a dictionary definition, there are still linguistic challenges you find when a word has multiple definitions. For example, you can say, "A low wall bordered the field," and also, "John felt low today." The same word, but with two distinct meanings. Considering this, writers should make sure that when you read, you understand both denotation and context to get the precise meaning of the word as it's used. In technical and scientific works, you are less likely to find words with different denotations than you would find in a work of fiction. Jargon stands for specific terminology that people follow and understand under various settings. Different places of work and different professions have their own unique jargon. You can find unique language among doctors, engineers, teachers, and politicians. The philosopher Etienne Bonnet de Cadillac observed in 1782 that every science requires a special language, because every science has its own ideas. In other words, jargon covers the language used by people who work in a particular area or have a common interest. Some jargon is now recognized by many people, like the computing jargon bit and byte. POTUS, President of the United States, is political jargon. LAN, local area network, is computing jargon. Ferrous, meaning iron, is jargon found in the chemistry field. Saying hoistway instead of an elevator shaft would be jargon common amongst engineers. Slang differs from jargon in that it is the informal use of words among peers, compared to jargon being technical vocabulary used among people in the same profession. Neither of these elements of word choice should be permitted in professional writing, unless jargon is being used among an audience with knowledge on the subject. And these are examples of slang that should be avoided in professional writing. Wordiness. We should never use two words when one will do. Needless words should be omitted from drafts. Instead of saying already existing, one could simply say existing. Or instead of writing currently underway, just write underway. Don't use unnecessary words. Pare your language down to the essential message. These are examples of very wordy sentences. It is very unusual to find someone who has never told a deliberate lie on purpose. Trouble is caused when people disobey rules that have been established for the safety of all. He dropped out of school on account of the fact that it was necessary for him to help support his family. Misused words. The transition from spoken to written language can be difficult because the way we speak tends to be less formal than the way we write. We hear incorrect grammar so often that correct grammar may sound odd. Words that sound alike, or homonyms, are common among misused words. For example, words like capital and capital. One refers to a city or a building where lawmakers meet, while the other is a sum of money or an uppercase letter. Another example is principal versus principle. One is the head of a school or organization, the other is a basic law or truth. These misused words are often because of ambiguity of language. And these are some mistakable words. Night versus night, addressed mail versus addressed mail. Cliches. Technical writers should avoid writing cliches common to speech to avoid sounding awkward or insincere. The phrases and expressions are so overused that they have become annoying. Including these in writing can distract from the document's clarity and cause comprehension problems for the reader. These are some examples of overused phrases in writing. Cognizant of, permit me to say, to make a long story short, to be in the same boat. It's important to avoid redundancies and to avoid adding too many details while editing drafts. Be careful to balance significant detail with the audience's need for clarity. Specific details are desirable, but editors should be careful to not add too many to detract from the reader's understanding the main point. It's good to avoid needless complexity. Don't use abstract language and avoid nominalizations. Word choice is relevant to technical editors because we're concerned with how accessible information is to the user. Misused word choice can cloud meaning and detract from the intended message. Misused word choices can also decrease your authority even if you're qualified. And that is our presentation on word choice.